There are three big pieces of news that are just coming out today, one of which is in the news, the other of which came out of the courts, and the other of which came from a technical trader that I follow on YouTube known as Blockchain Backer. All three have implications for XRP holders, and in this video, I'm going to talk about what they are and what they could mean for XRP over the course of the next month, and specifically talking about the end of the year and beyond. Now, first actually comes out of the courts, where the judge actually handed Ripple yet another victory. I'm going to talk about what they did, what documents they just allowed Ripple to get access to, and what that's going to mean. The other one comes from a technical trader known as Blockchain Backer, who recently did a video talking about the fact that he doesn't believe that this Bitcoin bull run or this crypto bull run is over. In fact, he points to the technicals that show the exact opposite, and why what's happening right now was really predictable, and what happens after that is predictable as well. So I'm going to let you know what he said, what's going to happen with Bitcoin, and what's going to happen with XRP based on what happened several times since 2017. And finally, some bigger news coming out of the Bank for International Settlements. They recently came out with their annual report, or their annual economic report, and in it, they specifically talk about the adoption of CBDCs. And if you're an XRP holder, you know how big that the adoption of CBDCs globally would be to something like XRP, since obviously XRP, that's what they do. They ship around currencies based on the XRP token. But they also did something that some XRP holders hold against Bitcoin. So I'm going to get into it. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. In this channel, I'm covering the SEC versus Ripple case, but I'm also covering a lot of the cryptocurrency news, as well as personal finance and the investment markets. So if you want to follow any of those topics and you're new to this channel, make sure you're subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon. That way YouTube will send you a notification when I release a new video, and I do that when I get new information. And if you're feeling generous, I'd really appreciate you giving it a big thumbs up. It really helps out a YouTube channel like this and helps share this video with newer audiences. So if you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, well, let's jump into it. So first, we're going to talk about what the judge in the Ripple versus the SEC case did that actually gave Ripple yet another small legal victory in this case. Basically what happened was Ripple had actually motioned the court to get access to the SEC's trading guideline. And the judge came back and granted that motion, which basically means the SEC has to turn over on all the trading guidelines that they have regarding stocks, assets, securities, things like that. But James K. Filan, who is an outside attorney who follows this case, he put up on Twitter, he basically retweeted that information. And James Deaton came over the top of that on Twitter and basically said, this is exactly what the government is supposed to do. Why should somebody have to motion the courts to get the regulators' details and guidelines on what they consider legal versus illegal trading activity? That should be transparent. That should be open and transparent, and you shouldn't actually have to go through the courts in order to get something like that. But nonetheless, the judge granted Ripple this victory, so you can bet that Ripple's legal team are going to be tearing through those documents as they get them, in order to poke holes through all of their arguments and what they're saying. XRP is a security, not a security, or is it not a security, but Ripple still sold it as a security. So we're going to find that out. And some smaller news, Coinbase is now open for business in Japan. Now Japan has really adopted full scale the whole crypto ecosystem as soon as it's been coming out. In fact, it's one of the friendliest in terms of regulation, in terms of it being deemed an asset and even a payment solution over in Japan. So this is really nothing new. It's kind of the next progression for somebody like Coinbase, going more international. So now they're legally allowed to have an exchange over in Japan. And also, just breaking earlier today, there was news that came out that John McAfee, who is the inventor of McAfee antivirus software a long time ago, he was actually found dead in his prison cell, reportedly, allegedly, of a suicide. Now, he was a little bit off his rocker in the later years, but a lot of people are speculating that there is no way that John McAfee committed suicide. In fact, just hours before they reportedly found him dead, it was actually approved that he was to be extradited from his prison in Spain to the United States, where he was going to be held and face tax fraud charges. Now, a lot of people are saying that tax fraud charges, yeah, they could be severe, but there's no reason to kill yourself over it. So a lot of people are speculating that he didn't kill himself. And in fact, if you look back, his Twitter feed is absolutely littered with all kinds of things that say, if I'm ever in prison, if I am ever suicided, if I ever hang myself a la Epstein, it wasn't me. In fact, in October of 2020, he actually tweeted this, that said, I am well, the food is good, all is well, and if I ever hang myself a la Epstein, it was through no fault of my own. And Twitter users have been digging up even more tweets from the past. So here's one from June of 2019. basically said that he's been collecting. He basically said that he's been collecting files from corrupt government officials, and he was actually going to start naming names. He was going to start with a CIA agent. He mentioned a CIA agent as well as 2 Bahamian officials. And he said that if I'm ever arrested, which he already was, or that he ever disappeared or was found dead, that there was 31 terabytes of all these files that were going to be released to the media. Well, in 2020, he was arrested. I don't know that anything ever came out of that. And in 2021, he's now dead. So we're going to see what happens. So if you want some interesting reads, go follow the official Cathie on Twitter. There's some really crazy stuff on there. And of course, we're now getting comparisons to what happened to Epstein, his connection to Epstein, if any, his connection to Bill Gates, if any, and his connection to all of the corrupt government officials around the world. Now, I mentioned that the courts handing Ripple a small victory is one of those things that has been going for it recently. The second thing that just came out is the blockchain backer, who is another YouTuber that does technical analysis of Bitcoin and different cryptos, XRP, Ethereum, things like that. He came out and he had a video today showing that a lot of things have actually happened in the past several times that are happening right now. And his stance was that there's a lot of people are going to be like, dude, look at the price of Bitcoin. Don't tell me we're not in a bear market, which means the price is coming down. Because he's essentially calling it a pullback, but not a full-blown bear market. Because what he's doing is following what the people in the know, the people with the money are actually doing, and then look at the other side. Look at the retail investors. Look at the momentum. Look at what's happening on. Look at what's happening in the news. And basically do the opposite. So he actually looked at the chart for Bitcoin and the crypto market cap as a whole since 2017, and there's a few times where has actually had a top, a bottomed out, and then bottomed out several more times before going on a huge run. So his standpoint was that Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market is poised for another huge run-up, even much bigger than the first part of the run-up. He's not the only one saying this. There's a lot of people that subscribe to the stock-to-flow model, the stock-to-flow X model, and the ones that do these technical analysis that say the bottom is probably in. Now is probably the lowest point you're going to see for Bitcoin and really for the rest of the crypto market for a while. So if you haven't followed the blockchain backer, I'd suggest doing so. He does some incredible technical analysis on things that I watch just about on a daily basis. But the one he had out today was really telling. And I mentioned it specifically about XRP because he showed in his technical analysis that back in 2017, when XRP had its huge run-up, it was actually a long time after Bitcoin and Ethereum had their run-ups, and they were actually sitting at about 10,000 before XRP had its huge run-up. And he pointed to a few different technical indicators that I won't get into here, but it's really strange how much those technical indicators have matched 2 to 3 times, not on just XRP, but on Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market as a whole. It's literally mirroring what's happening now. I mean, it's hitting it to a T. So what's he saying? Well, basically he's saying everything go up, at least for the rest of this year. But besides some technical analysis, some really good news for the long-term prospects for XRP holders. So what is that? Well, the Bank of International Settlements recently came out with a couple pieces of information that XRP holders are going to want to continue to follow. Number one, well, they slammed Bitcoin. They called it an asset class. Yes, they called Bitcoin an asset class, but they called it more of speculative in nature, and that Bitcoin has failed in terms of being adopted in use in the ease of use for payments. What they did say is that they believe that CBDCs are the future, these central bank digital currencies that each country, like the digital dollar will have, the digital yuan already has. And the Bank for International Settlements said that there's so much promise in CBDCs, but in order for that to happen, there really has to be widespread global adoption. The Bank for International Settlements is now calling for global adoption of CBDCs. Now, if you're an XRP holder, you're going to love that because, as you know, XRP is the underlying transferring asset for all things with value, including, in a case of widespread adaptation, one of the most widely used use cases in all of crypto. So if you're an XRP holder, today was a good day, even though everything is in green. And if you look at the headlines, you see that everybody thinks Bitcoin is crashing, even though Bitcoin jumped almost $5,000 in less than 24 hours yesterday after it had dipped. So we're going to see what the rest of this market brings. If you're new to the channel, you want to follow along with the with the Ripple versus the SEC case, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I give updates on that case on nearly a daily basis, as well as other cryptocurrency news that hopefully you guys find interesting, because for me, it's really interesting and educational, and I'm hoping this will help put my financial future on a better track. So once again, thanks for watching. Again, I'd really appreciate it if you give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys on the next video.